We all want to be remarkable.
Your business demands it. Our communities crave it.
You know you're on the right trajectory when opportunities launch you into unexpected directions you never thought possible. Join me, Kate Volman,
and fellow marketing strategist Kyle Sexton every week as we explore ideas you're not considering.
Share stories from others like you who despise mediocrity, and discover how whatever you're building has the power to
change your business,
change your community,
change your trajectory. You know what we're going to talk about today on Trajectory, Kate?
Shipping?
Yeah, we can talk about shipping problems.
Yeah. You're very good at shipping, Kyle.
Well, if you say so, I'll take. I used to be the procrastinator in chief. Right? Until I hired a business coach, and who's still a great friend. And she said, after weeks of work together, she said, Kyle, you keep saying that you're a procrastinator, but I don't think you're a procrastinator. And I said, what? And she said, I think that you've learned about yourself that you do your best work under pressure. Mind blown. That might not be a mind blown thing for other people, like duh. But for me, I was really like, my self-talk was, I'm not getting as much done. I'm not doing well in school because I'm a procrastinator. No, the issue for me was deadlines. The issue for me was managing my time. The issue for me was having a visual representation of my time. The issue for me was shipping and what happens when it works. And today, the work that I do with teams is all about asking the question, what happens when this works? Because it's not enough to go through a process of change. It's not enough to build something, to create something, to document something that you're going to launch out into the world, that you're going to ship. That's going to help you on your trajectory. You see what I did there, Kate?
I see what you did there.
It's not enough to talk about that. You have to talk about what happens when this works, because inside there, you're going to find the why. Simon Sinek, right? You're going to find the why. It's not so yeah, when I do consulting projects, boards and teams are asking me to define what we're going to do and what the process is, and I've got these steps, and they're a little surprised when I squeeze a little step in before number 3 or 7 or whatever. It says, first we're going to talk about what happens when this works.
Oh, I like that.
Because that's the finish line. Otherwise, they'll look at the completion of our project as the finish line. No. Mm-hmm. The completion of our project is the starting line. It's about shifting that mindset. So I don't know why you think that I am good at shipping. I think you have not seen all of the things that I have not shipped because they haven't shipped yet.
I think but you ship a lot of stuff. And, to your point of what happens if it works, I just want to point out what happens if it doesn't work, or maybe not doesn't work, but that to me is a big part of shipping, is when you start putting things out there and realize some people, hey, maybe it doesn't work the way you wanted it to. Maybe it's even better. Maybe that got you to a place that you never would have put down on paper because you decided to ship. And so I look at it like you have a very clear, like some of the stuff that you work on with your clients, it's very clear. Like they're like when you're working with a chamber on their on changing their due structure. That's going to work. That's a formula that works for most chambers that you've seen that's proven. But for some people that, let's say they want to start doing videos, they get like all caught up in their head. Well, ship some videos and hey, maybe people don't respond to them. Okay, that didn't work, but how can you shift and make changes to the way that you do the videos, or maybe from doing the videos, somebody reached out to you to do something else or whatever it is, like I feel like that to me is what's really exciting about shipping. Almost every time I've done a project that I was a little bit nervous to ship, it turned into something that I really wouldn't have created for myself.
I think a lot of people have answered that question, what happens when it doesn't work? And that's why they're so surprised by a constant reminder of the question, what happens when this works? Because the answer to the question, what happens when this doesn't work, is the answer to that question is, it won't change me.
But it will change you.
Failing won't change you. Failing is, I knew it wouldn't work.
But see, I'm seeing it differently. I have to think of a better thing than what if it doesn't work? Because when I think, what if it doesn't work? I see it as like a positive. It doesn't work in the sense of, oh, maybe I don't even like doing this. And that's good. That's good to know. But like that's how
I know you. That's why people are attracted to work with you, Kate Bowman, because you are this positive, can-do person. But the clients that I work with, they have employees, folks on their team, who are filled with fear, and there are people in my process that are essential to my process and the outcomes that have in the past and always will be a threat to sabotage your outcome. And I like to weed that out as quickly as possible. Nothing pisses me off more than to have somebody internal to a project sabotage it. It's happened to me twice. And I think now I know what I'm looking for. And so yeah, but I chose that. I choose to work in these situations where people are skeptical and even cynical, or full of myths about the outcome. All right. So what happens when this works is a question that ends up pulling out all kinds of myths that people have told themselves. And when I do that at the beginning of my process of my work with the team, and this I think applies to any project, when you're working with your team or you're looking in the mirror saying, what happens when this works? You don't have a shipping problem anymore, because now you've got, if you fall in love with the positive outcome, you have to go get it. You have to. You obsess about it.
I fall in love with the process. I'm obsessed with the process, I guess. I think about in the shipping sense. A lot of the people I talk to who get that way of, I work with a lot of small, like not as big of teams as you do. So the people that I work with are very shut down to things. And so for them, it's kind of like just showing them the idea of like taking that step, that one step that's going to lead to those bigger things, kind of having that big vision. And then it's there, but let's break it down a little bit more clearly and tangible, and help them realize it's not scary to just start getting things out there instead of feeling so overwhelmed. But
so I know that, and this is an area of specialty of yours, is media and video production, and you host a morning show there in Florida, and people expect a lot of things out of you. You follow this trajectory over time that has constantly, subtly raised the bar on yourself. And so when people are like, Kate, can I work with you on this? Can you help me with this? They are afraid of making that leap too quickly, because it'll they're afraid that it'll change them in ways they don't want to be changed. And so when you have a process and you get to break it down, you get to encourage them that, hey, at some point you're going to look back and you're going to go, oh my gosh, look at all the things that have changed. But it was a subtle progression. And that's how you take that change and you turn it into steps. First do this, then this. And that process is really important for people. Right? So, but Kate, I want to talk about video creation, because this is an area that you work in a lot, and people are so afraid of shipping when it comes to them being on video. Like, what's that about? Because I've experienced that. You've experienced that, but I'm sure that for you, it was like eons ago now. Or maybe you look back and go, maybe you're able to look back now and go, wow, look at why I was so reluctant. Why were you reluctant?
I think that's any kind of creative work that people do, whether it's writing or video. Video is because obviously a lot of people don't love seeing themselves on camera. Mm-hmm. We get fearful that we're going to say the wrong thing or we're not going to look the right way. People are really nervous to be on camera.
Yeah. Well, can we get technical for a second here? What teleprompter are you using right now? What teleprompter are you reading?
It's about a $10,000 system, and
sounds fancy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's crazy how easy it is for people to create video content with their phone.
Yeah, well, my point was that we're not using scripted.
No.
This is clearly not scripted because I stutter a lot. You're able to be live on camera doing a morning show with just a couple of bullet points, or just knowing who you're meeting with that day, like who you're going to have on the show. But you needed evidence of success that approach was going to work. Right? Don't you feel like getting better at just starting gave you evidence that this is going to work, evidence that some of your fears that you need to be over-scripted or over-prepared are not, they're not based on reality?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I remember when before I was doing mostly live stuff, because I love live video. To me, live it's my favorite. I think it's so fun. People get so scared to do it. They get so nervous. Or a lot of people will say, oh, I did my first live video and then I stopped it and I deleted it. Well, you're never, don't do that. But I remember I had a guy who I had hired to do some videos with me. And so he did the videos, and then I kept beating myself up. I was like, these aren't good enough. I don't like them. And he said to me, we're friends. I would not allow you to have a bad video. If I really didn't think this was good information, I would tell you. And he would. He's like you. He tells me. He doesn't sugarcoat it. So I remember he said that he did this. He said this to me. Who is your favorite person that you watch on video? And at the time, it was Marie Forleo. A huge fan of Marie Forleo. She's amazing. And so he said, come here. So he took me into his office and he scrolled down, kept scrolling all the way down until like one of her, like when she first started, like years ago. And she was great. Like she was great. She sounded great, but oh no, it was nowhere near the production quality and the way that she presents herself now. And that just opened my eyes to, how did I not realize, like, she had to start one day, and now look at her. She's this incredible entrepreneur. She's been to Richard Branson's island. She has a huge tribe of people that she serves, and she does incredible work. Well, she had to start somewhere. So that helped me realize, oh, okay, my first video is not going to look like that. And that's totally great.
Could this Could the reluctance to ship be related to that thing they call the imposter syndrome? Do you ever think about that?
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
who am I to go onto video and look like a pro when it's just me? Like,
Yes.
who am I to think that I could accomplish what Marie Forleo has done? Like,
Yeah.
who's going to listen to me? I don't have that. I don't have a book. I don't have a. All I do is help people. Well, guess what? That's what all Marie does too, right?
Yeah.
All they do is help people. But I think,
Her people.
yeah, her people, her tribe.
Yes.
And you and I talk all the time
So,
about marketing that both attracts and repels. And I think when you put the right amount of thought into what you're creating and who you're creating it for, like you and I talked in another episode about having a to-do list and having a to-don't list. And I think, even Trajectory has a list of who this is for that you and I worked hard to narrow down. And critical to that process was narrowing down who it's not for.
mhm.
Because I don't, we're going to we'll get poor reviews from people for whom this was not intended. And
Yep.
I mean, don't you think there's a lot of alignment there when you create something and you're clear about who it's for? Because it's not just for you. Like, you wouldn't subject yourself to that amount of pain and suffering of video and, oh my God, what equipment do I use? And, well, how come my video doesn't have audio on it? And I went through all this process, and like, it's hard. Like, learning the technical stuff is a steep curve for some people.
Mhm.
Other people go, you know what? That's such an easy part. And those are people who don't ship. Like, they're just not on, they're not doing it because they spent all their time learning all the other thing, all the technical aspects of it. And they've never once set foot in front of the camera to ship something. And the camera, I think,
It's their
is a
form of
metaphor. Yeah, it
procrastination.
is their form of procrastination. And the camera, in this sense, I think is a metaphor for the spotlight being on you when you create something to launch into the world. What say
Yes.
you?
Absolutely. And we're both a fan of The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield.
The War of Art is all about the resistance, right? What was your favorite part?
There's so many, the entire book, every part of that book is incredible. To me, the piece that I share with most people to get them as excited as I am about the book is
Wait, you're excited about a book? No way.
imagine that. No, when I mean, his whole thing is about the resistance, how when we are meant to create this work, like, it's in us,
Yeah.
like it's 100% what we are meant to share, what we're meant to do, what we're meant to put out into the world, because other people are going to be attracted to it. And what do? We sit down to write that book or write that article or do those videos, and we say, "Oh, I'm going to just hop on Facebook real quick, or let me just jump on my email." And it's that resistance, like when you are resisting to sit down and do the work. He has another book called Deep Work, right? That's his other book, Deep Work.
Yeah.
So that's the it's hard to
do the
have
work.
that, to
Do the
do the work.
That's
There's
today's
another,
resource.
Cal Newport. Cal Newport has Deep Work, I think. So I hope I'm getting my
That's all
authors right. But so no, but that to me was like, that resonates with so many people, because everyone has that passion. They have that thing that they really want to share, that content they really want to put out there. And when we're scared to put it out there, that's what it is. It's the resistance. And so it's almost like you just have to be detached from those thoughts of, what if people don't like it? What if it doesn't get the likes, the comments, the shares? Like, that doesn't matter.
I
So
and I
I
continue to
love that.
believe that I don't think that that's what they're afraid of. I think they're afraid of what happens when it works. What happens when people love it? What happens when it turns into a thing? Because they haven't yet turned their dream into a goal. They haven't put steps behind it. They haven't imagined for themselves the life, the business that they want to lead. And I love that Stephen Pressfield gave a name to it, calling it the resistance. And Seth Godin calls it the lizard brain, and Waterboy calls it medulla oblongata. Actually, the professor in Waterboy calls it medulla oblongata, and he says, "No, mama says it's the devil. No, it's the medulla oblongata."
Oh boy,
you got to get a little Adam Sandler in your day. There it is.
That guy ships.
He ships.
That guy ships all the time.
He ships, and he gets paid to ship.
And he stopped listening to the haters because he had a lot of haters that didn't like his movies.
They're just not,
and he could have just.
Those are just not for him, right? It's not. It's those for those people. He didn't make those. He didn't make those movies for him. But the lizard brain is that fear, the instinct that makes you run away from an opportunity. And speaking of great movies, one of my favorites to quote is First Night. First Night with Richard Gere and Sean Connery. And I sometimes do my Sean Connery impression on stage when I'm talking about this, when somebody asks a question about this. But Sir Lancelot, played by Richard Gere, is going through the gauntlet. And the gauntlet full of sharp knives, cutting, slicing, and big old hammers trying to knock you off a very narrow pathway. And he gets through it without padding. And the guy's like, "Get down from there, get padded up. You're crazy, you're gonna kill yourself." And he gets through the gauntlet when no one else had ever done it before. And he gets to go meet the king. And there's Sean Connery, King Arthur. And Sean Connery says, or King Arthur says, "You got to do it." And the characters. King Arthur says to Lancelot, "How is it that you succeeded where so many others failed?" And Lancelot replies simply, "Perhaps fear made others move backward when they should have gone forward."
Oh. Are you not going to give us your Sean Connery impression when you say that?
And Richard Gere, by the way, does not do an English accent.
No.
So disappointing. Lancelot sounds an awful lot like Richard Gere. It's just so disappointing.
Oh my gosh.
So there you go.
So
perhaps fear made them move backward when they should have moved forward.
So you wrote a book, your first book that you wrote.
Yeah.
I remember when you printed it.
You remember the resistance?
I remember the resistance. The resistance I had of reading it. No.
Here's the form of the resistance. 3 years of creation. Taking it to 178 pages and cutting out almost all of it right before my deadline. I had about 33 pages of material that I kept from the original 176 or 178 pages. And that was fear. That was resistance, saying, "This is crap. I'm cutting it all."
I remember when you called me and said, when you told me about the book, I was so excited. I was so proud of you. I was like, "Oh my gosh." And then when I was even in your acknowledgments, that made my year. I was so excited. But you said, "I was so nervous to get this out." And I was really surprised by that, because even as your friend and someone I get to talk to you all the time, I was like, Kyle Sexton was scared to ship this. I just looked at it as, no way, like you're super, you don't have those thoughts like I do.
I had significant imposter syndrome. And I'll tell you why. Because the people that I was learning from were very close to me. Right, my boss of 10 years was right down the hall, and everything that I talk about in that book is stuff that he could have is stuff that he could have written, and that was a major emotional challenge for me that manifested in the imposter syndrome. Isn't that interesting? And I was so nervous for him to read it.
Really?
And yeah. So before I even sent it to the printer, I told Mike, I can't do this unless you give it your blessing. Like, and notice that I don't take credit for much. I give a lot of credit. And so I don't believe that I have very many original ideas, and everything that I ever reference about some mindset or business practice that I use, I always try to give credit to where I discovered it.
Mm-hmm.
And if they if they want to take credit for it, if they want to, say that they got the idea from somebody else, that's on them. But I'll always credit the source, and I'm highly suspect of anybody who takes too much credit, because I feel like they're grandstanding a little bit, and they're denying their community, and they're rejecting their tribe. They're saying that I am the leader of a tribe instead of I am a follower of others. And I think, you see behind me, for folks who are watching this on video, is a servant leadership, is a piece of art that I call my one-page book. It's directly from the words are from the content of my second book, Follow You Anywhere: 22 Little Lessons for Team Leaders. And the fish represent, there's one green fish there, if you can see that. And it could just be a green fish, but your eye is there. That fish might be the leader, but that fish is also following.
Mm-hmm.
And I think every good leader takes their turn in leading and following. And my boss, Mike McLaren, my hero, my teacher, my mentor, he followed me at that moment. He let me go out. He let me ship. And I know Kate Bowman, that he wanted to help me make it better. I know that he wanted to issue some criticism. I know there was some, I know, but I asked him questions. What did you think about this? And he said, I think it's fine. Go for it. And I said, but are you worried about this? I think it's great. Go for it. I know that there was something that he was holding back because he knew that I would use that thing as an excuse. And it wouldn't actually get shipped. And I'll never be able to thank him enough for that. And but the book exists because Mike passed away a few years back, and a bunch of us got together to create this content, and we produced that book in 9 days. And my name's on the cover of it because I was in charge of it. But these are not things that I had created. There are 22 lessons for team leaders that I witnessed. And for people who buy the book, they're going to look in there and they're going to go, hey, it's missing number 10. And if you stop there and you say, oh my gosh, there's a typo in this book because it's missing number 10, it's because you didn't make it to the end of the book. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Because sometimes there's a secret handshake. Sometimes you got to create a little fun in the game, a little choose your own adventure. So people who come up to me and say, Kyle, I don't know how to tell you this, but there's something wrong with the printing of your book. It's missing number 10. And I said, that tells me you did not get to the end. You did not finish the book. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I'll go back.
Oh, oops.
Gotcha.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I
So
want to
you
see
know what?
those faces. They just go blank. Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Oh, you got
I'll
me.
be back.
But when you're shipping something, I think it's important to build your tribe and know who your inner circle is. Know who your cheerleaders are.
Mm-hmm.
I have a shipping file, Kate. Have I ever told you about my shipping file?
No.
My shipping file has my list of people in my inner circle, people that are my cheerleaders, people that I can trust, people who root for me and want nothing in return. Like right up here, I have a right next to my big giant monitor. I have a big old cowbell that a friend of mine bought for me when I launched my first book, Remembership. And she did it because she said you're gonna do a lot more of this stuff, and you need a cowbell. You need something to ring and celebrate every time you do something cool. And
Oh.
yeah, Jolene, and Jolene is on my list. She's somebody who cheers, and my friend Danielle, and Nate, and Tom, and Chip, and Kate, and like there are people who are on my list that I know that I can go to when I want to include them in something that I'm working on. And you got to
That's
have people on your ship list. And that's different than having people on your shit list.
It's very different.
It's very different, right? People on your shit list are people who have done you wrong. But people on your ship list, Kate, are people who continue to serve you, to support you, to cheer for you. And they're going to look across the table from you, whatever you create, and they're going to go, it's great.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. And they get you. They get your crazy. They get your, like they just get your crazy. We're all a little crazy. Yeah. So they get it. That's what I love.
When you say I'm good at shipping, I think what you actually mean, Kate, is that I'm good at calling you out on why you're not shipping or things that you're doing that I have also done. I'm guilty of procrastinating in these ways. And I love it when you ship something. And the thing is, I'm wondering, I don't think I'm on your ship list. I think I'm on your shit list. Here's why. Because when you do cool stuff, like when you're when you're working with GoDaddy, I'm the last person to hear about it. When you're working with Jay Bear, I'm the last person to hear about it. When you're featured in, you're a contributor entrepreneur, I'm the last one to hear about it.
So for those people that are out there that are, we talked about it. Everyone has something they want to ship. Everyone has something they want to say, they want to do, that tribe that they want to build, that value that they want to create for their tribe. So why don't we leave people with a challenge, like a shipping challenge?
Let's put the challenge out, and we'll start a thread on facebook.com/gettrajected. The challenge is, what happens when it works? Whatever it is. Tell us what happens when it works. What changes for you, for people who consume it, or buy it, or use it, or smell it? What happens? What happens when it works? That vision will help you to ship it.
Hey, thanks for listening. If we could, we'd reach over and give you a big hug. But since we can't, before you go, can we ask you a favor? In order for us to create shows you can't wait to listen to, we need your feedback. So please head over to iTunes and leave us a review. It'll only take a minute, but it will mean the world to us, especially if you decide to give us 5 stars. And if you really loved it, take a screenshot, share it on your favorite social media sites, and invite your friends to join the party. Until next time, get trajected. Ooh, I'm excited. Boom. I like it. All right. I'm excited to see what people are shipping and what changes. Ship and change.
Next time on Trajectory, Ship and Share, our new product. Endorsed by Sean Connery. That was a terrible impression. That's getting cut.
Oh, man. No, keep it in.
Not a chance.